No job, no money. I just spent all my money I had on this property, moved back to mom and dad's and rented the property out. Hey, this is Matt Pichet, the Fruitful Investor and your investing coach. And today's video is about how I bought my first rental property at 22 years old and how you can too. Now, this is the question I get asked all the time from people. People are always saying, Matt, how did you buy a property so young? And why were you even interested in real estate at such a young age? Now, I will say that I did not grow up in a wealthy family at all. I did not have a lot of money in my family. I grew up in a typical middle-class family. I remember my parents struggling a lot with money, and what I did learn from them is hard work ethic and to dream big, especially my dad, who was a super hard worker and still to this day works very hard and worked in construction for most of his life. So that trait kind of got passed on to me. So I'll go a quick history of how I got into this whole business. So right out of high school at 17 years old, I got into my apprenticeship in carpentry. So I started my apprenticeship pretty much right after high school, right in the trades. And at that time, I was making like 15 bucks an hour back in 2009, which was a super good wage for a first year apprentice. And I saved up all my money as much as I could. I had a big spending problem at that time. I wasn't very financially educated. You know, I would make money and I would spend it on stupid shit all the time. But I did manage to save up some money. And at 19 years old, I was approved for a mortgage. I remember thinking at that time, like, that's crazy. I was king shit from all my friends. You know, I was like, hey, I'm approved for a mortgage at 19 years old. That's crazy. They were still partying on Saturday and Sundays and all the time in college, wasting time. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm working in the trades. I'm approved for a mortgage. Anyway, ego got to me at that point. So I'm 21 years old, so I saved. It took me 2 years to save this up. But when I was 21, before turning 22, I put an offer on a small condo townhome that I still own to this day. It's one of my best properties, actually. So I put an offer on it, and on my 22nd birthday, right on the day, is when I firmed up and all conditions were removed. I remember having a cool little celebration. We actually had a party, like when we closed, I had a party with all my friends, and after I renovated it all, it was kind of a fun thing. But that's how I did it, and I did it with 5% down. So I lived in it for a bit while I renovated it all. And it was only like $9,000. I bought the property for $135,900, and I remember the down payment, renovations, everything was well under $15,000 or $14,000. So it's really cheap. That property today is worth around $230,000 in 6 years. So that's a ton of money, ton of growth in this area, and the property's doing really well. But I kind of got ahead of myself. Right before I bought the property and I firmed up on it, I was in my last section of my apprenticeship program, my third schooling block, so anybody in the trades will know what I'm talking about. And I actually quit my job before I went to school. I don't know if that's even allowed anymore, but I technically didn't even have an employer. But I quit my job, started my own business renovating properties strictly for investors, and I was my first client. So my property was my first client, so I renovated it all, took videos, took pictures, and that was my portfolio. And then once I was done, I went out into the world trying to find investors. So I had no job, no money. I just spent all my money I had on this property, moved back to mom and dad's and rented the property out and thought I was king shit still. Then I started meeting other real estate investors, and I joined REIN, the Real Estate Investment Network, which if you live in Canada and Ontario, I would definitely think about joining REIN to meet more like-minded people. It's very hard to meet like-minded people who are financially savvy and want to get out of the rat race, and also to learn very, very high quality education for real estate investing. So I started joining REIN, and I was hanging around like super successful real estate investors, and I had this one dinky property. You know, I had this super low income. I think I was making like $30,000 or $40,000 a year tops. But I was self-employed, man. I was controlling my schedule, so I thought it was awesome. But so I started meeting other people, and they kept saying, man, I wish I knew a realtor like you who knows construction. Yes, you know how to build a house. You know how to renovate on a budget, because my whole marketing and business platform was I know how to renovate homes on a budget for investors. Because during my apprenticeship, I did all renovations for Ontario Housing. So the company I was working for, we did like 90% of our work for Ontario Housing, which is pretty much lipstick and mascara. The government doesn't spend a lot of money on housing, obviously, so I did all of those houses, so I knew how to renovate and what materials to use on a budget. Obviously, my properties look better than Ontario Housing because it was like the cheapest of the cheapest materials. But I knew that market really well, and all we did was townhomes. Ontario housing is pretty much all townhouses and apartments. So a lot of investors are just townhouses or semi-detached, so similar home. So I knew how to renovate these homes already. But everybody I met was like, man, you're really impressive. I wish I knew someone, a realtor like you, who knew how to renovate homes, because all my realtors don't know shit about renovations. They have no idea how a house is even built. And investors, it's all about budget and money and making money and renovations. So it's very important to have a realtor who knows these things. So one thing led to another, and I thought, maybe I should become a realtor. You know, even though I'm on my own renovating properties, you know, I'm self-employed, I'm 22 years old. I don't like this backbreaking work. You know, and I can see my parents and my friends' parents and their parents, and they all work hard in the trades or blue collar, busting their ass, and now they're all broken and shit and don't have a lot of money. So I thought, you know what, I don't really want to go down this road. Maybe I should think about becoming a realtor. Long story short, I looked into it, became a realtor, specializing still with investors. So I focus 100% on real estate investors here in Kitchener-Waterloo and Cambridge. And fast forward to today, at the time of making this video, we now have 11 properties. I'm 29 years old, I just turned 29. So there's a lot of growth in these past 6-7 years. And you can do the exact same. It's nothing special. It just takes a lot of hard work. And that's the whole reason why I want to make this video. A lot of people have a lot of excuses like, oh, I didn't grow up in a wealthy family. You know, I don't have money. How am I going to buy properties? That's insane. Especially now in Kitchener-Waterloo and Toronto, when the prices are absolutely insane. Trust me, you can still do it. I'm still buying properties all the time with partners, but you got to start somewhere and you got to bootstrap it. So if you're young, you know, and you're not the college type, or you feel shitty about not going to college, which is where I was in, fuck that. Like, just take control of your life. You can make it happen, man. Like, you don't need to go to school or come from a wealthy family. You can totally do it. Just put your nose to the grindstone, work super hard, and become an expert in an area and what you're doing, and people will eventually come to you. You'll attract people to you. They're gonna give you the money, and it's gonna start snowballing and getting faster. For example, like where I am now at 11 properties, I feel like I'm just getting started, honestly. I'm just scratching the surface. The ball's really starting to roll. People are coming to me, and it's just gonna keep growing from there. So that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you learned anything, please click like below. And to find out more about my real estate investing apprenticeship program, about how you can become a partner of mine, we can buy properties together, you can find out more about that right about here. And to watch more videos, you can watch those right about here. See you in the next video.